You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Don't let your decision paralysis demon keep you from watching something great this weekend. Subscribe to ScreamShare, the newsletter that serves up a 5-minute breakdown of the best horror available on streaming. I'll have essential weekly movie picks covering new films, classics that you need to catch up on, and a movie that's always streaming for free. So subscribe now, and you can even be part of some frighteningly fun watch parties we're putting together that'll let you be part of the conversation. So click in the link in the show notes or go to screamshare.beehive.com. That's screamshare.beehiiv.com, and make sure you whitelist your welcome email so you can get all of the latest news and updates. And now, the body count continues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Season 7 time is here. That's right. We're talking about Child's Play on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the heart of the second city, Chicago. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film for the last decade. That's right, we're talking about the characters, in the hopes that a dead Chicagoan's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. Of course, there's only one person I trust to take me on the train to the South Side, the one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Well, you know, if I got a score to settle, who else am I going to rely on to help me out?
That's right. We've often said that Jigsaw has a posse. We've rarely talked about Chucky's posse, but maybe that is just one of the things that we'll uncover in this new Season 7 journey of talking about the Child's Play / Chucky franchise.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I don't want to scare you, Gina, but we are not alone. That's right. We have a special guest now. You may know him as the author of multiple books and comics. Their latest works include Dead Teenagers, who has the final issue will be out July 15th from Oni Press, and the upcoming DC book, which I've had the pleasure of reading the first issue of, Clayface, Celebrity Dirt, which hits shelves July 8th. But we're always proud to call him a returning champion to Kill by Kill, the one, the only Jude Ellison. Doyle, how are you doing today, Jude?
I am thrilled to be back. I always love being here. And
we always love having you. Now, before we go any further, it is by law, my duty, my sworn privilege to ask you both what your first introduction was to the Child's Play Chucky franchises. Jude, I'm going to go to you first.
I cannot remember the last time a horror franchise had this much cultural saturation. I grew up innately knowing what a Chucky doll was and that I needed to be scared of it. My brother had a My Buddy, and we were both pretty sure that it was possessed. Like, this movie single-handedly tanked that toy line. But
I think the size of it, and I'll get into this later.
Yeah.
I think the size of both Chucky and My Buddy are the most intimidating elements of it.
Like, the toy looks like it could beat your child up. It is.
It's supposed to be like, this is a peer, but it also is like, oh, you don't want to meet this dude in a back alley is also the underlying thing behind my buddy and Chucky.
He's a hefty, chunky doll with enough force.
Chucky doll. Gina, how about you?
I did not see this in the theater. I don't recall why. I'm sure it's because, I thought it looked, pretty silly. Mm-hmm. And it is silly in an incredibly enjoyable way.
Right.
So this was probably a cable watch for me. Mm-hmm. But I do remember, like, all right, I'm sold on this.
I didn't see it in theaters. I can't tell you why. I don't know whether or not I had an impression or didn't have an impression about it. I certainly saw a lot of other horror movies around this time, but it really came to me predominantly when I got a job at the second Blockbuster in all of Southern California. And we had a standee, an MGM UA standee of Chucky Child's Play, the VHS box, with him on the cover with a bird mark on his cheek, with a knife in his hand. And it would literally scare the living fuck out of children. We received so many complaints about it. It had to be relocated. But it flew off the shelves. It was just one of those things where people were very into it. And when I saw it, I'm like, that's a damn solid film. My esteem for it has grown over the years because I think it is just a solidly good motion picture that does a lot of world building and presents a slasher in a way that took it out of the realm of teendom and young adultdom where it had been stuck for a very long time. And I think it does a lot of things right. I probably could not have estimated at the time, like, oh, this is definitely something that's going to endure for nearly 4 decades.
No.
But then again, I didn't anticipate this show enduring even a single decade.
And look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
No.
Truly.
There is something to be said for like getting children while they're young and easily traumatized.
Sure.
Like I remember just having such a fascination for this when I was little. I would get out my mom's Roger Ebert movie yearbook where he had like all the reviews for the year. Yeah. And I would just crouch over it, secretly reading the Child's Play review. And I remember that it was where I learned the word mutilated. And
oh dear,
that's amazing. I'm going to take a wild guess that Raj did not like it.
He wasn't like, I think if I were to review it, or if I were to review his review, I can't remember it being very positive, but I didn't care because I was mostly just trying to like absorb the details of how the people died. It was forbidden knowledge to me.
I think like Gene Isaiah Siskel probably liked it less. I'm going to put on a limb. I'll be honest with you. It's the one part of my normal research I didn't get to only because there's so much information about this movie and the franchise as a whole. And I will put, first off, it's great that it's out there. There's an oral history on mental floss. There's been a slew of interviews with the people involved. There's the Doc of Chucky, which is a fantastic resource. I recommend them all to people. There's also just a litany of misinformation, of slightly warped stories. And so as I started to gather stuff, I'm like, this doesn't line up. So I wanted to make as definitive a backstory of how this movie came to be as I possibly could from the mouths of the people who were involved. So I apologize, but this is so necessary for my brain. So the story of Chucky starts with a young UCLA film major named Don Mancini. He wrote a script while in school there. It was only the second one he had ever written at that time. It's about a doll who, like other dolls, have the ability to cry or have the ability to pee and you change their diapers. This doll had the ability to bleed and then you would put a Band-Aid on it. And it was referred to as a blood buddy, which is a crazy fucking idea.
I want to market the blood buddy. I think the world's ready for the blood buddy, finally.
I mean, you might want to put a different spin on the title. You might want to workshop it a little. But essentially, this doll mixes its blood with the blood of the Andy stand-in. And this doll becomes the avatar for all of Andy's ill will, being in a household where the parents are divorcing and he's being bullied at school and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so when he's asleep, the doll is awake and it carries out his id, as it were. There's a lot of dead caregivers that happen from that moment. But Mancini, over the years, has given out a couple things as like what gave rise to this. The first inspiration is pretty obvious, and that is the Cabbage Patch Kids, which were created in 1978 by Xavier Roberts, and they became a sensation after the rights to these dolls were purchased by Roger L. Schaefer, who has a long litany of things that he has licensed and marketed over the years. He was quite successful at it, and he licensed it to Coleco, and they became the must-have toy of every Christmas after 1982 for like 4 years straight. It made them billions of dollars. And that kind of covers the must-have part of this. That sort of must-have toy of a season is the element behind this. But the surrogate friend element comes from the Cabbage Patch competitor, Hasbro's My Buddy. As Jude talked about earlier, My Buddy dolls were about 2 feet tall. They were meant to approximate a friend rather than a baby you need to take care of. And as you might imagine, men at the time acted totally normal about this doll marketed to boys.
About as normal as they would act today about it.
Yes. Just freaking out about feminizing boys. And then 4 decades later, they wonder why men have trouble establishing friendships. I wonder why, you fucking idiots. Okay. What was I talking about again? Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I think the My Buddy is a really good primer for male friendships because I think men are all secretly terrified of each other. You know?
Right.
Like,
either terrified or want desperately to make out.
Yeah, exactly.
Take your pick. It's one or the other. There's only 2 options. Terror or tongues in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Those are the 2 relationships I've had all my life. And honestly, it's working out for me. So.
I do want to point out real quick that there was an equivalent for girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was called Kid Sister, I think,
yeah.
and did not sell as well as My Buddy because, I mean, the idea was, well, girls already have dolls. Why do they need this doll?
Yeah, it's not quite as special. And it's not the point of a toy like that is to pretend to have that relationship. I have a He-Man to pretend to be strong. I have a G.I. Joe to pretend to be capable and have wherewithal. All these things are elements that allow me to play act for a thing that will be a valuable device for me later on, which was why the worst people you've ever fucking met were, of course, against it. Now, the third driver here, and one that doesn't get as much play, but obviously has something to do with the overall idea, is Teddy Ruxpin. It's released the same year as My Buddy. Teddy Ruxpin was a teddy bear whose eyes and mouth moved to prompts that came from a cassette player that was mounted in its back. Needless to say, Teddy Ruxpin started outselling Cabbage Patch Kids upon its release in 1985. You mix them together and you get what Mancini calls the, quote, innocent-looking child's doll that spouted filth. He name-checked a couple different things as inspiration overall when it comes to evil dolls. You've got Talkie Tina from the Twilight Zone. You've got Dead of Night. You've got Magic in 1980, which we've talked about many times on the show as having the most terrifying TV commercial of all time. And the Zuni Fetish doll from Trilogy of Terror, which we actually did an episode on.
I'm going to pitch in with 80s toy lore, which is like, now that I understand the Teddy Ruxpin influence, so much that is scary about this movie makes sense to me, because Teddy Ruxpin had a problem where, like, when his batteries wound down, his tape player would slow.
Right.
And it was like, if that toy ran out of juice even a little, it was absolutely demonic. It was the worst experience you've ever had in your life as a small child.
Because it's drawing so much power to do so many things. Run a cassette player, the multiple servos in its head.
Yes.
Whatever, tape memory it's drawing from.
The eyeballs that eventually start to operate independent of each other. It's a beautiful synchronicity of stuff that's designed.
It's on YouTube. You can find it.
And then you have the aspect of, which I, even as a kid, when Teddy Ruxpin came out, well, I always found a little bit sinister, is, here's a toy that can read to your child.
Yeah.
And, of course, they explored this more recently in Megan, where it's, for the very busy parent of the 80s who cannot take, 5 minutes out of taking calls or attending late night business meetings to read to their child. And here it's, it's a little different. It's a single mother. She's a widow. But her son's a little lonely, and he becomes very, emotionally dependent on this doll who malevolently takes advantage of that.
Yeah. No, horror like hardcore hates single moms. Like, your kid is going to get a Ouija board. It's going to get a demon doll. There's absolutely no way a single mom is making it through.
Right. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to get into trouble because they're lonely and no one's looking after them.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Because mom's at work.
Except for your weird, horny friend who can't.
She's not that weird. She is extremely horny. She just gives off that energy. Mancini blends that inspo with something that he grew up with. He wrote about something he knew because his dad was in advertising. Quote, I knew how effective marketing could be to pull strings, resulting in consumer bedlam. I wanted to write a dark satire about how marketing affected children. These toys were really popular, and I just put these two impulses together. Mancini hoped it would get him an agent, and it did that and more. He caught the eye of a producer named David Kirshner. Now, Kirshner had a relationship with kids' movies. He had worked in animation. He had been the person to pitch An American Tail to Steven Spielberg. And he was looking to diversify what he was doing. He's like, okay, I know that I can work in that sphere, but if I go to another extreme, I show that I have depth. He initially reads a book on an international flight from Britain called The Dollhouse Murders, and he wants to make that. But then he reads the Batteries Not Included script and just immediately pivots to that. And like I said, at the time, doesn't feature a serial killer. You have a Cabbage Patch Kid toy that just absorbs Andy's subconscious rage. And the other element that I enjoy about this early version of the script is that no one ever considers the killer doll behind the crimes because it only moves when Andy is asleep. It's always inanimate when Andy is awake. So this version has a lot more red herrings and kind of resembles more of the golden age mystery slasher that we've covered on the show with things like Happy Birthday to Me, Friday the 13th, you name it, My Bloody Valentine. The list goes on. MGM UA is the studio that sort of wins out about drafting this now packaged script with a producer. But they wanted a veteran hand to rewrite the script, so they hired Tom Holland. Now, he's hot right at this moment off of writing Psycho 2 and then Fright Night. He also directed that. So Holland takes MGM's note that they want a more traditional villain, and they craft a story, and he crafts a story rather, about a serial killer who somehow in some way manages to possess a good guy doll. And Kirshner is the one who comes up with the idea of naming this character Charles Lee Ray, which is based on Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. That's right. 2 assassins and 1 guy who told other people what to do. Not really serial killers, everybody. Not exactly people you would bring them for Thanksgiving, I might add, but still.
Yeah, it's poor research. And yet the mechanics by which he possesses the doll are spot on. So clearly they invested all their research in figuring out the religion of voodoo. So
that's the thing he can't crack is how this possession takes place. He knows that at its core it's a good idea. He just doesn't really have time to come up with a solid idea, because before he can figure it out, he's hired to direct a movie, because MGM doesn't want him to direct Blood Buddy or Batteries Not Included, whatever it's called at this point. But he is hired to direct a film called Fatal Beauty, which, if you have not seen, spoiler alert, is not good.
I was going to say, if you have not seen, don't.
It's not even so bad as good. I wouldn't even say might not be good, but it might be great. There are people who have done good work elsewhere throughout that film. It is just ill-conceived. It's trying to be Beverly Hills Cop, but has no concept what made Beverly Hills Cop good. But we'll get back to that. Enter John LaFia. John LaFia was a screenwriter. He basically been floating around town doing indie film production work while trying to break into the big leagues. He wrote a script for a movie called The Blue Iguana that gets him some William Morrissey agent reps, and they get him this rewrite gig. LaFia is a person who pitches that Charles Lee Ray is executed by the state. Just keep in mind, keep this very unique scenario in mind. Charles Lee Ray is executed by the state in the electric chair, and that prison just happens to be across the road from the good guy factory. Wimbo Wambo, he's in a doll. And if you think that sounds awfully familiar, it should, because we've covered this weird, insane glut at this point in time of all the scripts who have the exact similar scenario. You have Rennie Harlan's Prison. You have Wes Craven's Shocker. You have the Lyle Alzado jackhammer horror Destroyer, the sweatiest Brian James performance of all time in The Horror Show, the drive-by hoofing movie of First Power, and Eric Red's Body Parts, to name but a few. I don't know that it's certainly not a unique idea. I don't know that it would have sunk it, because so many other movies are all doing it at the same time. But probably because everyone's reading those scripts, the LaFia version of this just kind of doesn't play. He does shift some things around. Some elements of what he introduces to the concept does make the script, but they're more plot devices, because more of this is going to change. That being said, the LaFia version is what gets shopped around town for eventual directors. And just listen to the people who said, I read it and no. And now listen to the movies that they chose to do instead. They are as follows. William Friedkin, who goes on to direct Your Babysitter is a Tree Witch.
I was going to say a sexy tree lady.
A sexy tree lady. We all get them, Irvin Kershner, who decides, no, RoboCop 2 is a better idea. Robert fucking Wise considers this for a hot second. But he goes on to do Rooftops, a movie I have no concept of other than its VHS box art, because I've never seen it and I don't know what's inside it. It's his final film. You have
Robert Wise directed that?
Yes.
Because I've never seen it, but again, I do vaguely remember that, because that one was heavily promoted to teenage girls.
I have no idea what it is, and I didn't have time to figure it out. You also have Joseph Rubin, who is coming off hot of The Stepfather, but chose to do a movie called True Believer instead, about a couple of lawyers trying to get an accused mass murderer off the electric chair from a crime committed in Chinatown. The person in prison is Chinese. Who rescues the day? Oh, the 2 white people. They definitely come to the rescue. It's about them. They're the important people. And then the weirdest one is Howard Franklin, who decides, no. What I'm going to do is co-direct Quick Change, a movie I honestly adore with every atom in my body.
Yes.
And of course, he co-directed that with notoriously easy to work with Bill Murray. It doesn't matter. It's a great movie. It has, honestly, the best opening 20 minutes you're ever going to see. It is fucking insane how good it is. And then it gets a little loose after that. But if you've not seen Quick Change, I can't recommend it enough.
And also, once you watch Quick Change, every time you find yourself lost, you'll be compelled to yell out, Flores para los muertos.
Flores para los muertos. And finally, the duo that gets closest to making this is Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel. Now, they end up doing a movie called DOA, which is an interesting pastiche. But the movie they're most infamous for is going on to direct Super Mario Brothers movie in 1993. Are also co-creators of Max Headroom. So they didn't come into it like that's a whole thing. Like we
I
could
honestly kind of want to see their Chucky. Like it's not this movie, it's not good, but there's a Chucky in there that would.
There is, and it would have been so very different because the script is going to take another massive turn. Because Tom Holland has now completed Fatal Beauty and is desperate to get back to the good times when he was not associated with Fatal Beauty. So he rejoins this project as both a writer and a director. And his time of not paying attention to the details of Fatal Beauty has left him with plenty of time to come up with child's play ideas. And Holland is the one who ends up pushing the action here from middle-class bedroom communities outside New York City to downtown Chicago. He kills off Karen's husband and Andy's dad off screen. They're no longer divorced. It's just a tragedy we don't talk about. And he transforms Charles Lee Ray from this incarcerated serial killer to someone more active. And he's given him the designation, the Lakeshore Strangler. Keep that in mind because of the many things I associate with Chucky, strangling is not amongst them.
No, that's too clean.
Well, because he's got tiny little hands. Patrick,
yes.
You can't judge him. He's lost the tools of his craft. He's compensating however he can.
He does attempt to strangle one person in this movie. And that might be the thing that puts him off. Like, I have to adapt.
Little hands, little hands.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
I would say the core element of Chucky as a franchise that I think benefits it most, and I think what puts it in the league of something like an Evil Dead, and until recently something like a Scream and a Final Destination, is that it can evolve. Who Charles Lee Ray is inside of the Chucky doll is not static. He always loves to kill, but the reason why changes and morphs over the years, and he learns and grows. He never stops killing, but he does learn and grow. We'll get back to that. Holland is also the one who kind of nails down the method of possession. Keeping in league with the more supernatural direction he took Fright Night, he decides, all right, we're going to go with soul transference via voodoo. That works. I need to know next to nothing about that. I can just say voodoo and anything's possible. It was the 80s, and we didn't examine colonialist bullshit, but here we go. It really takes all three of these writers to cook up the meal on which we are dining today. It's an evolution of a good idea into a great one. And of course, Kirshner, the producer here, is the mensch that he is. He makes sure that Don Mancini ends up being included in that screenplay credit, getting a story credit, and the person that he helps guide the franchise from that moment onward. He even keeps Lafia around because he goes on to direct the sequel of Child's Play 2 and eventual Animal Attacks April entry, Man's Best Friend.
Oh, God. Yeah, you are just pulling all those late 80s, early 90s unmemorables out of the bag.
If we run out of them, Gina, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
Had to start digging into all those lesser Shudder originals.
That's right. Now, the cast assembles pretty quickly here because they want to get this thing going, and they're running into a writer strike at the time. So this is one of those things that the studios are just green lighting stuff because they're going to want things in the can. So they grab Catherine Hicks as single mom Karen Barkley. Tom Holland collaborator Chris Sarandon is brought back from Fright Night to play Detective Mike Norris. And as Jude and I were texting earlier, I think Sarandon's greatest obstacle here is that he has to appear to be a normal Midwestern man after both being Prince Humperdinck and the sexiest fucking vampire of all time.
He just a regular working Joe.
I don't know.
With a jawline you could slice cheese with.
Yeah, we'll get into this, but I think this is the sexiest Chris Sarandon has ever been. And I'm counting Jack Skellington in that, which I know will be controversial.
Very true. And yes, we will get into details. And then you have the coup of 5.5-year-old Alex Vincent, who's cast as Andy. And throughout our conversation here, I just want to reiterate, the good news is that Alex Vincent turned out to be fine. But
thank God. He
gives one of the most vulnerable, heartbreaking kid performances in what is a blatant fantasy film. The trauma he's experiencing here is not something you have to worry about. He's not in war. He hasn't been kidnapped by, sex predators or anything along those lines. Like, this is unreal world shit. And he manages to both be cute and be vulnerable and make it believable that he's talking to this doll. It's pretty unheard of stuff.
He definitely does seem like a real child that they just let loose on the set. Like you're very invested in like this little tyke.
Another Holland collaborator that returns to play Charles Lee Ray is Brad Dourif, because he had the great fortune to be the lead villain in Fatal Beauty.
Yes.
God, that's right. I forgot about that. I think I was so distracted by the weird blue eye contacts that Whoopi Goldberg wore in it that I completely forget everything. It was Bobcat Goldthwait in that too?
I think he's in a different. I think he's in Jumping Jack Flash.
And then there's also Burglar. Yeah, she's had a rough run of late 80s.
People just did not know what to do with her. And I say that as she obviously pulls in very capable performances, but I think they were trying to fit her like she's Eddie Murphy, and she isn't.
No.
She is Whoopi Goldberg, and they could not figure that out.
She's basically been given all of Eddie Murphy's rejects.
Right. Yeah. They're just trying to fit her into Whoopi Goldberg does this job. And that works occasionally when she has to run from the mob and wear a nun's habit and make a choir happen. but it doesn't work in every other circumstance. Chucky, obviously, in terms of the character, is a very collaborative effort. You have Eden Gross as the toy version of the Chucky doll, and you have two people who play various versions of Chucky in costume. You have John Franklin and Ed Gale. They often are Chucky seen from a distance, or Chucky on sets where the furniture is larger to make him appear smaller. And sometimes that works, sometimes it don't. And I think the big telltale sign is when you see too big of a head on Chucky, there's a person inside that.
Yeah. There's a scene where he's climbing stairs where he's very much like full-grown man size.
Yeah.
But, it's well done. That's some Kermit rides a bike shit right there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. There's some incredible stuff. And of course, Tom Holland at this point is in a bit of a pickle, because what we haven't discussed here is that Brad Dourif is on a fucking run. People want to hire him. And Brad Dourif has accepted a role in a little film called Mississippi Burning. He's going to have to be on set for that. So he can only show up to do a couple things. The first is rehearse with everybody for like 2 weeks on just like a black box set, so that everyone can kind of adapt to how they'll make believe that this doll is alive. And this really helps Alex Vincent out a whole bunch. And they use that audio as the training ground for all the puppetry that will go into Chucky. But at a certain point, Tom Holland kind of becomes convinced that the killer doll version of Chucky should be a hybrid of the toy voice and Brad Dourif. And that's where I learned this very recently. One thing they considered and even recorded was a different voice for evil Chucky, played by one Jessica Walter.
Oh, what? Yes. Oh my God. The alternate reality versions of this movie are amazing.
Now, if that sounds, wild, it is a little bit, but also you have to think back to how people might have viewed Jessica Walter in the late 80s, because I think to a degree, she's a little calcified by one role that brings her a ton of fame, and that's as the villain in Play Misty for Me, where she is having a freak out 24/7 in that role. I would put it on the same league as how Indy Navarrete is being treated right now with Obsession. It's just like, once you see it, you're like, well, whoever that is has a career for life. And she did. She had a career for life. But because Dourif has secured both these roles and isn't going to be around to do the puppet half of this, they give it a whirl. And at the end of the recording session, they're like, nah, we're going to have to fly down to Mississippi and see what we can do. And so that's what ends up happening. The one person we haven't mentioned here with Chucky is Kevin Yeager, and he does all the puppetry and makeup work. He's hot off of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and he also has Howard Berger working in his shop, and he's an Evil 2 Dead vet. And between him and that crew, they create one of the best animatronics in, I think, since The Thing, is where I would put it.
Yeah, and you don't often see it mentioned as a truly notable bit of 80s special effects.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not. I think when people think horror special effects, they think gore or
the fantastical stuff,
right? So kind of like body transformation. It's like, no, you believe in this fucking doll, you know?
And because it's mechanical, he's allowed to do things that look artificial and they still work because the concept of it meets the technology. And as a result, when they make Chucky walk artificially by taking out the floor and having it rod puppet with that working head, it just fucking works.
No, and it's beautifully subtle work. Like, one thing I noticed on this run that I don't think I noticed before is that Chucky's eyes gradually get paler and more Brad Dourif-y as the movie progresses.
Right.
Like it's, they're paying so much attention to this doll and exploiting like all the ways it can be creepy and fucked up. Like there's such love in it. I love that.
Yeah, and to take a point from that, like one of the, I think the most jarring effect is, how his face changes.
Right.
And I mean he very much looks like the My Buddy doll when he's, just this, or at least trying to pass himself off as this, regular harmless doll. And then like, the eyes get more like, conniving, his lip curls up, and it's like genuinely creepy.
Yeah.
And I do love that his hairline starts to recede.
And it gets his hair gets more like crazy looking and, like disheveled.
Yes.
But I do want to point out that this is coming after, like, you have stuff you can compare this to, because like Puppet Master and Dolls are both like very much like scary 80s toy movies. And if you look at the effects work in this compared to those, like I love Dolls because it's very obvious that somebody is just wrestling with a stuffed animal. Or like, they've got a little teddy bear and they're holding it to their neck. But like this actually manages to convey a sense of like weight and like chunky, meaty doll rage. Like I believe you're being attacked by the doll. It's very good.
There's a couple floppy Muppet moments, but again, I'm not coming to Child's Play for like this feels like the world outside my window. It's, can they make the illusion work when it's important? And I think for the most part they do. And they also start to establish some rules of what Chucky can and can't do, which become important to the franchise going forward that you might dismiss upon seeing it one time. But as you get movie after movie into it, like there becomes some subtle moves that are just Chucky coded. And so what I love about doing a franchise is trying to figure out what is the through line I can draw from it. And usually it takes us a little while. But even right away, I started to pick up on some things here. Just to remind everybody, when it comes to Jason Voorhees, A, he doesn't wear a jacket. 2, he knows your sex style and uses it against you. When it comes to Freddy Krueger, he's like a personal improvement book. He's a self-help guy, only he self-helps you to death. Scream is all about have you considered my penis. Alien, of course, is about goop. Evil Dead is about sudden oatmeal syndrome and trauma. And Final Destination is about the federal government really compiling a case against the Grim Reaper. Because as we all know, he be killing people like every day. And yet, what is the FBI doing about it? And like that movie franchise, it turns out next to nothing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, vampires. Vampires are bad planners. That's what we figured out.
Yes.
With Stephen King, I think we just know that he's very nostalgic and he believes that bullies will forever be wearing leather jackets.
Just running that comb through their ducktail.
Yeah. They're not good at camouflage. You can always see them coming.
That's right. So let's get into the movie proper. This opening sequence that happens when Charles Lee Ray is still in the flesh was filmed in downtown Chicago during the coldest winter the city had experienced in over 30 years. And you can tell everyone is fucking freezing. Charles Lee Ray also, when you squint, he kind of looks like the lead singer of Simply Red.
I don't know. I'm not going to hear Brad Dourif slander on this podcast. I think the world deserves to know that like Brad Dourif is a very beautiful man. There are 2 beautiful men in this.
You ever see Wise Blood?
Yes.
Oh my God, he's like an angel.
He's like a beautiful little hot man, but he chose to be Brad Dourif instead, and I think we should commend him for that.
Well, at least we have Fiona.
Yes,
this is true.
She's revived it for the next generation.
I also have to assume that, as I mentioned earlier about vampires, that Charles Lee Ray may be akin to many of them, because I feel like in his Lakeshore Strangler mode, he is also kind of a bad planner, because his look here does not say, I'm trying to blend in.
I feel like maybe he should have spent a little more time working on his serial killer persona, and maybe a little less time taking voodoo lessons.
Yeah. Well, here's my problem: is that like he has power over life and death itself, but he's still chosen a life of just petty strangling. Like there's so much more. He only really taps into his full potential after he's been shot in the middle of a toy store. And I think that's a tragedy for anyone.
Well, it doesn't make him a lot of money, but at least he does what he loves, Jude. I will say, like, his co-strangler gives up on him soups easy. Like, as soon as he sees him get felled once, he's like, "Oh, my name's Paul. This is between y'all," and takes off fast.
Well, stranglers aren't like community minded. There's not a lot of solidarity between stranglers.
Yeah, no, that's why you work alone. You don't have a partner.
Exactly. Like, why are you?
Well, there is a precedent for it because we do have the Hillside Strangler, which was two of the sleaziest looking dudes you've ever seen in your life. And if you've ever caught a picture of them and you're like, "Oh, they're the Hillside Stranglers," and you're like, "Yeah, I can see that. I can see that real fast." What I also really love about Dourif's performance here is once he's in the toy store and he's got a couple bullet holes in him, he's so mad. He's so pissed off. He's like, "I can't believe this is the way it's going to end."
Yes. There's so little Brad Dourif FaceTime in this movie, and he uses every instant of it. Like, I forgot, there's just so much like raw, angry, ratty-faced rage that he is manages to summon.
The only thing we're missing, and I do think it's a deliberate choice. It's a choice here, and it's a choice in body parts that we covered earlier in the year, Gina, is that we never get to crying Brad Dourif, which I think is such a signature of things we'd see in like Graveyard Shift. And Exorcist 3.
Yeah, Exorcist 3 is premier Brad Dourif crying.
Yeah. But what we don't see in those movies is Brad Dourif kind of dressed like Diane Keaton in Baby Boom. So, it's a yin and a yang. You can't have everything.
He's got a bold 80s cut. It was a big era. There were a lot of big fabrics, It
really was. Yes. So, as we once wrote for CNN, some decades are just bigger than others, and the 80s had this air. That being said, Charles Lee Ray not flying under the radar so much. And this is the point where, like, when he decides, okay, I'm dying, this sucks, I need a person to transfer my soul into. Obviously, this cop probably isn't going to work out because I haven't hit him but once. He's not incapacitated, and I probably can't take him out. What can I do? And he spies the good guy doll, and he's like, "All right, this is good for a fucking laugh. Let's try this out." But his voodoo soul transference takes place underneath this massive glass sun skylight. Mm-hmm. And when we talked about Bride of Chucky during COVID era two-parter, I don't really remember. We had noted that the Chuckster himself really loves to watch glass fall from above him. It happens a few times over the course of the franchise. And I couldn't quite figure out why. But upon rewatching this, to me, I now have a theory. His soul is first transferred under a skylight that crashes apart when lightning hits it. And this becomes like a core emotional moment for him.
It's a Proustian Madeleine, yeah.
That when he re-experiences a version of it is like, oh.
Okay, you've seen the rest of the franchise. I have seen this movie and I love this movie. But what I can't get over is that even as I'm watching Brad Dourif die, I'm aware that there is a Good Guys brand toy submachine gun and helmet. And it is a criminally wasted opportunity that Chucky never has a submachine gun in this entire movie, even though there's one that's his size. Does that come up later?
Yeah. The question is, does it fire anything that can actually do any harm? Whereas the good guy tool chest has a hammer that apparently can knock you the fuck out.
I was going to say a real working hammer.
They put a heavy ass hammer. It was the 80s. They did not have a lot of toy safety regulations.
No.
But
and, during this sequence, you get those beautiful sort of ink blot clouds where they would shoot ink into a fish tank and film it. And they would just like unfurl out. Oh, they're so good. And of course, this entire time, you've got Detective Norris hunting him down. This massive lightning strike hits. The center of the room explodes in a literal fireball. And how Detective Norris walks away from that explosion is beyond me.
I think it's just Chris Sarandon's sheer unflappability. Like, he's going to have to gather his dignity and walk away from a lot of ridiculous shit. And like, what I like to imagine is that Chucky is just like an average month on the job for him. And we've seen this is not the strangest thing he's actually had to pretend to be normal about.
He is for sure one of the better cop characters in this genre of resurrected serial killer comes back to hunt me down movies. Like, there's a lot of failed versions of this.
Yes.
And Sarandon's Norris is by far the best that I can remember. He's at the top of the list for me. But let's put that to the side for the second, because now we have to meet Andy. And oh boy, hello, CPS? Yes, I wish to report a breakfast crime. That's how he's introduced. He makes the most burnt toast of all time. That crock of butter that he puts on top of those burnt planks is the size of a softball. And then he adds 3 scoops of sugar to what are essentially oops, all berries Captain Crunch. Then we learn that Andy is making this breakfast for his mom, who slept in late because she is working all these extra shifts at her job at a department store. And he's obviously attempting to do this nice thing. And we can tell he has a heart of gold, but we can also tell he has a secondary desire here. And that is to get on his mom's good side so that he might end up with a good guy doll for his birthday.
Yeah, this is like the movie going hard on like the crimes of single motherhood. Because like I've had a 4-year-old, I've had a 5-year-old, I've had a 6-year-old. This is all the same child. I'm not just bringing in children on like a rotating basis.
They're not just guest stars. You're not having a cousin Oliver fest over at the household.
But like that child is like got knives, it's got silverware. I'm referring to Andy as it. I'm sorry for your pronouns, Andy. Who like puts orange juice and milk in a glass and takes off on a run. Like this is like definitely we are being taught a lesson, which is just that like if there's not a man in the house, your child will run amok.
Right? Yeah, and something like a killer doll will
eventually happen. Yes, if you can either choose the man for yourself or a man will be chosen for you, and it will be Charles Lee Ray in doll form.
Oh God. She is a widower, everybody. She didn't choose this life. This life chose her. Even still, she, as you say, like it just falls into the weird trap, right? You may not make a film that's steeped in the patriarchy, but we're all existing within it. So it's just going to seep in whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Now, Andy does receive several presents, and the first one really catches his eye. It's a big ass box. And when he opens it up, it has a single pair of secondhand jeans. And
that seems like some TikTok prank shit.
It really is.
Where like they think they're going to give the kid an iPhone, and it's got like a pair of socks inside the iPhone.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You wonder, like, what later they're all like really quick to assume he's angry enough to kill people, and it's those jeans.
Right,
yeah.
Well,
like, I've been pranking him with his birthday for a while.
Yeah, I agree. He also gets the good guy tool chest, that hammer that'll come into play later. But she explains to him like, "Hey, I didn't know about this until too late. It is hard to find this toy, but I promise you, I will look for it. Like, this will happen, just not under the timeline that works for your birthday. And I'm sorry about that." And it's heartfelt on both sides. It's good that you have an actress who can convey that humanity, that they worked in rehearsal to have this kind of relationship with one another. I think it pays off. When Karen gets to work, this is where we meet Maggie, played by Neil Simon, female character given the gift of life, Dinah Manoff.
From Grease.
From Grease. From a good many actual Neil Simon projects. Eventually an Empty Nest, if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember what NBC sitcom she was
on. That sounds right.
She was in that mix. But Maggie tells Karen that a quote-unquote peddler is down in the alleyway. That again, Chicago is a city that does have alleyways. And that this peddler is quote-unquote selling... Well, this is my quote. He's selling Lucy good guy dolls.
just one, apparently.
It's all that can fit into a shopping cart.
That has somehow not been bought yet, even though this is like the hottest toy around.
Yeah.
Right. He's just tooling around town with it.
One lone good guy doll. He's a peddler. This is Maggie brings a really unexpected horny energy to this interaction. Like, she's I love her because she's like the classic 80s woman character where they were like, what do women do? They date. And like every line she has is about dating. Where she's like, I found a homeless guy. I think we dated. Sure, I'll babysit you done. It's the hottest date I've had in months.
It seems to be this sort of sitcom brain thing where everyone has ingested how a bunch of 50-year-old guys view women. Yeah. And they're like, this is how women joke about themselves. No, this is how a bunch of guys in Burbank joke about women her age. But okay. Of course, this peddler is unhoused. Of course, his teeth are rotten. Mm-hmm. And everything about this sale pretty much says don't. But once the price gets lowered down to 30, it seems like, oh, this is too good to be true. And she just goes for it. When they get back up into the department store, here we go. Gina, you see the wildest things in these movies once you cover them over the long haul. And we just talked about this weirdly last week. We meet Mr. Criswell. And what is Mr. Criswell but an avatar for hello? Can I help you? Can I help you? And like, I get it, right? Gay men worked in department stores. That's believable. But they couldn't all be this. And they couldn't all be the worst fucking managers of all time, right? Mr. Criswell's only life is this department store. Like, he's disgusted that Karen has a family. He's like, it's not my fault. You have a child. Listen, I didn't force you to have that come out of wherever that comes out from. Say, like, you know biology, motherfucker.
Well, who told you to do that? Not me.
Not me.
And he's like, Karen, this other person is sick. You're going to have to fill in for her tonight. She's like, I got to pick up my kid from daycare. He's like, I don't care. You got to take care of that and get your thin ass back here. And get behind this. And Maggie tries to stick up for her. She's like, I'll fill in. And his response is like, you can't cover for her. you work in shoes. Now,
which apparently has an entirely different, cash register system.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a competitive world. And like the shoe people and the jewelry people are at war. It's actually very touching that Maggie and Karen managed to forge this relationship.
He acts as if like these are entirely different kinds of science or something.
Yeah.
Like you work in retail banking. This is investment banking. No. It's shoes versus jewelry. I think she can sell earrings. You want to know how? She's wearing them right now.
No. You can't trust a shoe girl. She's going to put that necklace on somebody's foot and you know it.
Can you ever remember a time like the last time you went into a fully staffed department store?
I did go into a Macy's recently because there's a very good one near us that has an excellent sale rack, and my son is a sale shopper, so I have seen it. But it is exceedingly rare.
Yeah, certainly not like, forcing people to, leave their 6-year-old without any sort of care to come in to cover the jewelry department.
The wheels of consumerism must go on. They must turn.
I love it just as a commentary on the 80s. Like the movie has been weirdly spot on about 80s toy culture. Like the My Buddy cartoon looks very real. The giant, guy in a mascot suit with the big alienating head, that's been real. The frantic bidding in back alleys. I would like you to know that this is exactly what happens whenever you go on eBay or something. If you're on Etsy, it's that guy trying to sell you something.
He's got that hat. He has not brushed his teeth. It's all of that.
It's exactly it. Yes. But
so instead of covering for Karen on the job, Maggie helps at home. She picks up Andy from daycare, brings him back home, feeds him dinner, gets him into bed, proceeds to snack on fingerfuls of birthday cake, pick up a self-help book and just dig in once he's in bed.
That's exactly what women do all the time. This is some Deanna Troy level writing of women. They like self-help books, they like cake with chocolate in it, and they date men.
There's no other concept that could possibly come to mind. But this is when we get to start to see the Don Mancini version of this, where there's this, is Chucky alive? Is Chucky not alive? Sort of mystery element begins to be seeded throughout this. It doesn't last long, but you can feel that element be in there. As soon as Andy is asleep, hint, hint, Chucky is on the prowl because, of course, Maggie would not let this doll watch the 9:00 news. Why the fuck would you? Also, 9:00. I mean, I know they're an hour earlier than East Coast, but isn't 10 the right time? I don't know how news works in the 1980s in Chicago. Shut up, Hamilton.
They actually just have a different newscast every hour, but Chucky likes the 9:00 one.
Yeah, that's where you get the real dirt. Chucky is instantly on the prowl, and because he really wants updates on his ex-partner in crime, who's managed to bolt out of police custody, sort of vibing off yet another serial killer trope of what's his face who escaped from jail twice. Gina, please help me.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy, that's right. And I just have to say, Caputo, no Ted Bundy, but that's neither here nor there.
No, he's very easy. He's easily apprehended by a small child.
He really is. It's a miracle they lasted as long as they did.
Yeah, I know.
I can't imagine them lasting much longer.
This is where I start to feel for Chucky, because it's this kind of sloppiness that brought down the Lakeside Strangler empire.
The Lakeside Strangler used to mean something. And now look at it.
You took pride in your work.
So Chucky is stalking Maggie for a full 5-minute sort of sequence that, is more akin to the sort of slasher scenario that we've seen in the past. Only this is like a full-grown woman here. And he eventually grabs that hammer, clocks her on the temple, and pushes her out a window and down a full 5-story fall to the street below. A real stunt performed by a real man in a dress.
Well, God bless, you know?
Hey, someone had to take that fall, and it's a damn good fall. Now, Norris, to his credit, instantly smells something rotten when he comes on the scene, despite Karen's obviously pleading to him that it's probably not her 5.5-year-old child who's behind this crime.
Yeah, I was going to say it is a little absurd how long the cops cling to. It is this Dickensian orphan who you beat an adult woman over the head and somehow tossed her out of a window.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, at least, you know, in The Exorcist, she had the excuse of being possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Although I don't think Karen helps her cause. Like, Karen pours fuel on the fire. Like, I've never seen anyone handle a police investigation the way she handles it, where they're like, "Can we ask you a few questions?" And she's like, "Get out. It definitely wasn't my son, but get out right now and never come back."
Right.
Like, yeah.
But she needs a lawyer.
Yeah.
And you also begin to see why Maggie had to go first in Chucky's mind. Because when Norris sees these small, telltale good guy branded footprints in a spilled jar of flour on the countertop, he thinks Andy is the source. But if Maggie had been there, she would have been the first to tell you that shoe sizes matter, motherfucker.
Dang it.
And Chucky's shoe size is a tad bit smaller than Andy's.
Maybe sometimes you can trust a shoe girl. Maybe I was too hasty with that. That's tragic.
Yeah, well, he just sees child-sized.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
Case closed.
Now, later on, Karen does see, when Chucky is sat down on a rocking chair in Andy's room, that Chucky's feet do have flour on them. So a seed is put into her mind. There are very smart little elements here where the unbelievable is seeded with something that would sow doubt in your mind into it. And so I really enjoyed this. Like, it's just overall well put together. That being said, holy hell, what is going on with Norris's partner's mustache? Like, is he going undercover at local pool halls? He looks like he should be managing the careers of local sex offenders, not arresting them.
Well, I mean, I think about it this way. You show up to work every day, and right next to you is Chris Sarandon being hot. And you cut your hair, you try a different shirt, you try a bunch of things. Nothing ever outdoes Chris Sarandon being hot. All eyes go to everyone but you. And one day,
like when he gets introduced, like, this is your new partner. The guy's like, man, this guy, what can I get Dennis Franz?
Exactly.
Baby, you are the Dennis Franz.
He's given up. But that mustache gives him dignity. It gives him identity. It gives him purpose. You know?
Absolutely true.
So,
and who am I to negate how he presents to the world? And so that's the choice he's made. It's not my choice to make. Now, the next morning reveals the scene where I honestly find the most frightening in the entire film. Karen drops Andy off at school, and as soon as she's gone, he heads right back out the same door, Chucky in tow, and he gets on the subway alone to the south side of fucking Chicago.
Yes.
And no one gives a fuck.
No. Like, nope. I mean, first of all, like, okay, Karen's a working mother. I get it. But just like, her child has plausibly just witnessed a murder, and she takes him to school the next day and is like, "You're fine, right? Okay, bye." And then, you know, the teachers continue to just like either not give a shit about Andy or just not like him. Like, maybe there's some dark backstory there where like Andy's been pissing people off for a while and they just let him wander out of the building. But
well, the teacher's not giving a shit. That's very 80s. I as someone who, you know, barely made it through the public education system of the 80s, you know, we very much just, you know, Mrs. Krabappel is funny for a reason.
Yeah,
just like a lot of my teachers could barely put out the cigarette before they went back into the classroom after recess.
Oh my! Now he jets off to down to the south side of Chicago. And when I say that no one gives a fuck, there's a bad part of that. But there's also like, maybe I'm kind of happy that no one's like, I got to get up all in this kid's face and ask him a lot of questions about him and his massive doll. Like, to a certain degree, they're like, I'm not getting in their business. Everyone else has their own agenda. They're harassing people for money in the background of every shot. They're concerned about their own shit. And so when Andy trots Chucky on down to what appears to be just freestanding garbage as a home.
Yeah, although look, Andy is like walking through the rough part of town carrying a coveted good guy doll. Like apparently nobody thinks to repurpose this for shopping cart purposes. There's a whole other movie where somebody hides it.
It feels like they're given the South Side of Chicago a lot of credit, and probably a lot of credit it deserves. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of PR the South Side probably could use a lot more of. The fact that they're just like, hey man, that's not my problem. That's not my business.
Yeah. Like the Lakeside Strangler is hiding in a shantytown sort of like hut in your neighborhood, but at least nobody's going to steal your kid's doll.
Right. Yeah. It giveth and it taketh away. So when Andy runs off to take a whiz, Chucky immediately beats feet into this hovel. Mm-hmm. And Chucky's convinced Andy to do this. And I guess, I don't know what the real plan is, but I suppose is if either of us is caught, meet this barely standing pile of garbage and live rats, you Caputo, and I'll come and find you. And so that's pretty much what happens. He stalks the house. Caputo is sleeping on bed bugs in the shape of a mattress. And for reasons I cannot even begin to explain, somehow this building still has gas running to it. So Chucky starts the oven, blows out the pilot light because he has air in lungs. Sure. I didn't come to this for fucking realism. But eventually Caputo wakes up after hearing something, wanders downstairs. Chucky fakes him into shooting a gun, which of course sets off the gas. And we have an explosion that I'm sure people in Madison, Wisconsin felt.
Chucky loves an explosion. It was just strangling at the beginning of this, but now he's like learned that there's more than one tool in the toolbox.
Now he's going big.
Yeah.
Right. I hope this doesn't awaken anything inside of me. And it does. It awakens a lot. Now, of course, this explosion brings the popo, and Andy is hauled in, Chucky and all. And he's being interviewed by Norris's partner in a clear violation of that child's rights. There's no fucking way they should be talking to that child without a parent or guardian present. That would get anything that you converse with him thrown out in court, even in the fucking 80s. That being said, they have brought a child psychologist down there, and he's decided to give Andy the Sarah Connor treatment and send him off to the Center for Orphan Kids Who Murder Good and who want to learn to do other stuff good too. And what I like about the psychiatrist is he happens to be wearing a singular pair of Stephen Bishop style smoked lens glasses.
That's there are some things about the 80s that I miss.
Yes.
If you don't get that reference, anyone in the audience, congrats. You have joined the 98% of society. When I tell you, even at this late date, you always have a Wikipedia entry open so you can get my references. Have at them, baby. That being said, these glasses are fucking massive. Here's a current reference for you. They look like he picked up a Snapchat AR pair 40 years early. They're massive.
We need a big good. Is this the conversation where Karen takes the very constructive tactic of telling her child, no one believes you?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, she's had enough of the bullshit.
Yeah, no one believes you. If something bad is going on in your life, Just tell me the story that I'll accept. Don't ever tell me the truth.
Yeah, I'd sooner accept that you did it.
Yeah. It is a very interesting element of American horror and something that really comes into vogue, I would say, post Nightmare on Elm Street. That element of a young person sees something, tells a parent, and that parent goes, "What the fuck are you talking about? There's no way that's real. You're lying to me. This isn't real." And yes, you eerily know a lot about that serial killer that we murdered when his case got knocked out of court, but there's no fucking way you could have possibly known about it. So you're lying now. Also, when that bird explodes, it's because you took drugs?
You're just like, you cannot get over that, can you?
I can't. I think it is the craziest supposition anyone has ever made in the history of this show. And it is the least discussed component of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, a movie that has been discussed to death. And everyone's like, it's gay. Great. Have we talked about the exploding bird drug accusation? Because that's so much more important.
Patrick, I am going to stop you now because I'm going to tell you the historical antecedent for all this, which is one of my favorite anecdotes of all time because it's grim and full of despair. So you know that Ed Gein was his town's babysitter, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that was just kind of how he made ends meet, is that he babysat for local children and he would go over to their houses. But a bunch of kids got the feeling that there was something off about the babysitter. So they snuck into his house and they saw the skin furniture and the bone and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre of it all and the human body parts. And they ran back and told their parents. And what they were told is, you should not make up stories about Mr. Dean. That's not very nice of you. So it's absolute. This is like real child hours. The little Andy
should have stolen that box of vulvas and said, "See, look what I found."
Exactly. Like if only you had thought to take a souvenir, little Timmy. Take that human heart in the frying pan. But
all we needed for proof was one box of vulvas. Oh my God. Oh. Thank you for that. That is such a gift you've given me.
Yes.
Thank you, Jude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now, Gina, did that make it into the Netflix thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, it spared nothing. They really rubbed your face in it.
Okay.
Like just like, that's good enough for you. You fucking freak.
Oh boy. So on a lighter box of vulvas note, Karen returns home and it's just like pretty much at that point convinced her very young child is both a liar and a murderer. But then she picks up that empty good guy box and it's not empty. A pair of batteries, prepackaged batteries, fall out the bottom of it. Well, if they're not powering Chucky, what exactly is? Oh, it turns out it's the Lakeshore Strangler who's giving that doll power. And who, I might add, to this moment, has strangled no one. But we will amend this behavior later. She threatens Chucky with burning him in the fireplace. Spoiler, that'll happen later. But this is where we get the first of Chucky's many neck mauling flirberts that he likes.
He's trying to strangle as best as he can. I also appreciate that, like, every direct quote we've had from Chucky so far has just been misogynist invective. Like his first words, Brad Dourif's first words, and the voice performance of his career are like, "You fucking bitch, you slut!" Like, buzz out with it.
Oh God! Oh, yeah. It's so wild. So yeah, he freaks out. She drops him to the ground, and here I think we get our first real, this is a Chucky maneuver. He lands on the ground and rolls. He loves to roll. This is a great maneuver for him because he can get under things you can't get under too. And it's just like, oh, was he really animated? Or did he just roll under the couch because shit does that? I think we need to keep track of this. This is roll number 1.
All right.
But I would say then Karen at the end of this ends up with a giant giant bruise on her arms because Chucky bites her and takes off into the night.
He absolutely tries to vampire her. It's every time he attacks her. And again, note the physics. Like, this is definitely like the actor has to do the thing where they're wrestling with a stuffed animal, but she does a good job. But yeah, he's going back to his strangler roots by like trying to vampire. He does not have hands, but he has a little chumpy little mouth, and he goes for her neck every time.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Norris, while he disbelieves Karen, is still somewhat troubled. He goes back to the police station and grabs Charles Lee Ray's file. Now, when I say file to you, you're thinking, oh, the notorious Lakeside Strangler. Surely they have a thick file on him. Oh, no, baby. That is thin. That is America's Next Top Model thin.
Yeah. What do you need to know? He's a guy. He strangles. Like, you know.
We knew he hung out with one voodoo guy. That's pretty much what we get out of that. It's got like 3 loose papers inside of it.
That's what you're saying. Men don't have friends.
Karen then tries to get to Norris again. And like, Chucky is literally like, look at this bruise. I saw him with my own fucking eyes. And I'm going to find that peddler who sold the good guy doll to me and figure out what's going on. And he's like, don't do that. That's a bad part of town. But Karen goes to this bad part of town, finds one of those famous Chicago alleyways. And the peddler is not swayed by her initial bribe of $3. And she's like, but what I don't have anything else of like legitimate value. And he's like, oh no, baby, you got something that I want. Now, I know personally that I'm going to reveal something here. The pencil skirt knee-high boot combo thing works for me. It just does. I don't know what that says about me or doesn't. But this guy, he doesn't project a lot of sexual needs at any point. This seems very put upon for him to go, oh no, what I want out of you is a little action. And you're like, this is guys in Burbank writing right here.
Yes. Well, it's like it's the 80s. You have to put in a sexual assault scene, you know, just like how else are the kids gonna? But I want to note an absolutely astounding run of Chris Sarandon faces throughout the scene. First of all, his like face when he's being told that the doll is alive and bit this, you know, mysterious single mother is like amazing. He's like, oh, good night. Great faces. Chris Sarandon. Now he's like rolling into the extremely sensitive portrait of the unhoused of Chicago. And there's like, he's still keeping his dignity. You know, you can see him struggling as this gets out of his hands. And we're going to head up into like the greatest Chris Sarandon face performance of all time in a few minutes. Yes. And I just want us all to emotionally and mentally prepare to revisit it.
No, I think this is good because, again, we can't be super visual on the audio podcast, but keep that in mind. Also, watch Child's Play. It's worth your time.
Yeah.
But the peddler eventually coughs up information that kind of starts linking things in Norris's mind. Things are getting to the point where there's too many coinky dinks here because this good guy doll was found in the aftermath of that Toy Story explosion from the beginning of the movie. And while he can't accept it yet, part of his brain also can't accept any other explanation either. So once he drops Karen off and tells her to give this up, he drives off and is immediately attacked by Chucky. constantly threatening his beautiful dick and balls with a knife.
Chucky he's agile. At this point, he's fully taken advantage of the doll body because he's like strangling him from the back. It's the one classic strangle. He's got like
one classic strangle
cord wrapped around his neck, but he's also like crawling under the seat and jabbing that knife up towards his dick. It's a lot. There's so much going on. And Chris Sarandon absolutely has to sell this like, maybe one of the more preposterous scenes that's ever happened in a movie, where he's just like scooting around and like trying to drive while standing up so that the doll can't stab his butt to avenge him for yes.
Lesser actors would not have been able to pull this off.
No.
And Chris Sarandon does. He just kind of makes you go along with it. But this is the moment where we kind of evolve who Chucky is. Because up until this moment, Chucky was under the illusion, nothing bad can happen to me. I'm a doll. But when his cheek is burned by a cigarette lighter and he's shot through the shoulder and that pain bleeds and causes pain, well, now he's pissed about the supposed role voodoo was going to play in his life and that he wasn't given all the information.
Yes.
So he decides to visit his former voodoo sensei, John.
Okay, I love John. John is my favorite guy, and I want to visit John, but I want to note two amazing things about this sequence. That it ends with Chris Sarandon, once again, like rolling his car and miraculously surviving. But his face as he lands is like so clearly like, I got my ass kicked by a doll. I don't want anyone to know about this. And then the next time he shows up to Karen, he just suddenly believes her about Chucky, but he never mentions getting his ass kicked by the doll. Like that.
Right,
He's just like keeping that to himself. And I love
okay, I know you're telling the truth. I'm not going to tell you how I know.
I won't tell you how I know what happened to my car. Let's not talk about it. There are more important things to discuss.
Yeah, let's focus. Let's focus on the here and now, not where we've just been. So when Chucky visits Voodoo John informs him that the longer Charles' soul remains in the doll, the more human he will become. And Chucky's like, well, I didn't sign up for this. Get me out of this. John refuses to help, saying that he is against nature. And
John absolutely escalates the conversation. This is like the one thing is that like from the first time I watched Child's Play, I still have this screen cap somewhere on my computer of John saying, because you're an abomination, because it's such an abrupt escalation. He's like, well, why can't you help me, buddy? It's like, well, because you're against nature and against God. It's like you, John, could have gotten out of this conversation with a little bit more social skills.
Like I got a solution. I got a solution for you. Walk into the other room, grab a cat carrier and just put that over this motherfucker and sit on it. And I think you'll be okay. Like you have to not tell the known serial murderer that you convinced he could transfer his soul, that you're not going to help him out. And then Chucky's like, oh, wait, I think I know how to do this. I know where your voodoo doll of yourself is.
Yeah, this is
why
not
would you give that information?
He's not a skilled teacher of voodoo. And unfortunately, this is the movie's attempt to be like, now, not all voodoo practitioners. Like this, we're trying to get a sympathetic thing. But the basic facts of John's life are that he made friends with a serial killer, gave him power over the other world through life and death, told him exactly how to kill him if he should ever have the need, and then just like peace out. Like he was like, course over. That'll be $20, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is his certification for teaching voodoo?
I mean, the thing is, like, up until this moment, he could have done a lot of great work with the Boys and Girls Club. We just don't know a lot about John. But how he ends pretty much defines how we view him. And I think that's unfair to him, but we're never given more info on John. So, or maybe we are in later sequels and I just don't remember. But to date, with the information I have, John is a very poor planner. Telling people where your mojo is, it seems like a vampire level bad plan. And Chucky, of course, immediately snaps his arm and leg with that voodoo doll and gets him to reveal how to escape the doll's body. He's just got to transfer his soul into the first human he revealed his true nature to. Of course, that's Andy.
No,
So,
he's got to stop
Chucky-
giving him my voodoo information. Like, that's his leverage. His
Yes.
only leverage is that he knows voodoo, but no.
but I would also be quick to start giving it away once 2 limbs have been snapped. I can't yet. I don't have the wherewithal to outlive torture. I think I just would. Don't tell me anything you don't want the authorities to know, because I don't have a lot of authority and I don't have a lot of wherewithal to hold that back.
Okay, well, then I wish he had disclosed more information up front. If you're going to tell people how to project their bodies into a My Buddy doll, you need to tell them how to get back out, or you're going to have a lot of unsatisfied customers.
In John's defense, he envisions this like, you do this into an unconscious human, not some fucking toy, you weirdo. But he goes an escalation above that to abomination. So what are you going to do? So later, Norris and Karen arrive at John's, and he's not done giving up the voodoo goods because he tells them the way to stop Chucky is by destroying his heart. So in that way, Chucky is a real Jason Voorhees. And that's weird because, Jude, the first episode you were on was Fairy Heart Jason.
Yes. Magical, glowing 90s heart Jason. He was my first, and I think he's still very special to me for that reason.
Yes. So wild how all these years later, these weird coincidences happen on this very silly podcast.
No, well, we've all got hearts, and we can all have our hearts broken, be we Jason's or Jude in college writing poetry about a guy who played hacky stack, or a little murder doll, which has a lot of overlap with Jude in college, but I think it's a human thing. We're all connected.
I will say, for the most part, if you destroy nearly anything's heart, it will die. This isn't newsflash here. I mean, I guess the concept that this Chucky doll is developing a heart is news, but destroying said heart will do just about anything in. So, thanks, John. R.I.P.D. So, cut now to the Center for Orphan Kids Who Murder Good and who want to learn to do other stuff good too. This is where we learn that Andy has been put into a cell that appears to be designed by Jigsaw, considering how green and gross it is. Like, it is a properly maintained, reflecting, cool green. And of course, this joint, Gina, it neatly fits in to something. You've got to fold this into the book because now you've got a hallway of huddled children crying in hallways of this psychiatric facility that any old doll can just break into from the outside. I mean, Andy is in a legit cell. He is bunking next to Hannibal Lecter. That is how high security this 5.5-year-old's cell is in this domicile.
Yeah, Andy is basically a Precious Moments doll, but they're convinced he can snap necks if he wants to.
Right, exactly. It has to be that way. But Andy manages to spy Chucky outside his window, and so he concocts a way to escape and actually manages to do it. Now, we haven't said it really in a while, but I think when Alex realizes that he's locked in this room and that Chucky is coming to get him and he crumbles on the floor, I wept. This got to me. This is just heartfelt. I want to protect this boy. This is crazy. And it just instantly, all my parental reflexes snapped into place. And I'm like, we must protect Alex at all costs.
Let me place my body over you and the small child.
Yes. So add this to the list of weird fucking movies that I've wept real tears at.
That's strange. I have that same reaction, but I have it about Chucky. Do you think that's why?
No, I don't tell people that they're wrong when it doesn't harm anybody. Of course, Chucky arrives at the psychiatric hospital to, swap souls. And Andy has made this difficult by escaping. And Dr. Ardmore, the guy with the crazy smoked glasses, gets in his way. And so how does Chucky confront him? By leaping out of nowhere, putting a shock therapy rig on top of his head and just cranking it up to 11 like a real Spinal Tap. This is legit. Without being wet, the grossest dry electrocution that we've covered on the show so far.
Yeah.
It's not a wet one. And I think wet is the easier place to go, but this is quite dry.
Yeah. I do kind of like, there is like a level of like 80s effects where like every time you cut back, he looks a little bit more like a chimney sweep.
Like he's going to be talking like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins by the end. Yeah.
A weirder Cockney accent is just popping out of him inexplicably. Yes, absolutely right. Andy flees home, which is what he and Karen had worked out. If he had ever gotten lost, this is a smart thing. Always have a backup plan. But when Andy does get home, his siege does not last long because Andy knocks him out with that same hammer and prepares to possess Andy, transfer his soul into him. But in the nick of time, Karen and Norris run up that very Blade Runner-esque hallway elevator system that Karen has in her beautiful apartment. God knows how she affords. But this is, we get into a final battle here. You know, Chucky slashes Norris. Karen and Andy get the upper hand at a certain point, setting him on fire inside the fireplace.
Ah, it's so good. Can I just shout out Brad Dourif's vocal performance? Because like he has to scream so many different ways and convey so much information. And like the way he does it should be over the top. Like when he's shaking the fireplace grate, the screen goes to
He does have a unique vocal quality you simply cannot get anywhere else.
No, there's and like bellows and shrieks and cackles. There's so much going on in his performance. It's really good.
The thing that makes any good movie, not just horror movie, just any good movie really work is its alchemy. It's not just art and it's not just science. It's the combination of both of it and the human element of performance. Everyone coming together to make these impossible things even remotely appear possible. It's pretty great. And the melted Chucky here is
so bad. It's so gross. Like it kind of looks almost like melted marshmallow a little bit, but like flesh colored melted marshmallow.
But the interior parts are so dazzlingly white that, it really becomes a crazy, iconic, horror look unto itself. But over the course of this, they do manage. Karen gets a hold of a gun, of Norris's gun, shoots off an arm and a leg. So that's, I guess, for Voodoo John, and then shoots off his head. And this is when Norris's mustachioed partner Jack arrives, and they're like, "Don't touch the doll." And he's like, "Oh, okay." What does he do? He reads the goddamn Latin. He picks up the doll and parades it around like, why am I afraid of this? Strangulation attempt number 2, baby.
Yes, popping out from the bed. Okay, this is where the first half of this movie, like it's really tight. There's like a fight a minute almost. It's really well done, but it doesn't come alive for me until the moment when we see Chucky come to life in Karen's hands. And this is the moment where it just like, it reaches out and it's like that painting in the Sistine Chapel where it touches the finger of God, which is just Chucky's disgusting melted head yelling instructions at his doll body on how to strangle this cop.
That's my favorite part. That I just had not retained until this rewatch. Obviously, I'd seen it before, but it was the element of genuine surprise. Like, oh yeah, he has to instruct his body how to murder somebody because it can't see, and the body's like, yes, sir, and just goes about it.
Yeah. And he's pretty unhelpful. Like, he is just yelling, kill him, strangle him. But,
Right. Well, so far it's working.
Yeah.
That is the thing. Like, so far it is working. And Jack manages to, get this burning doll off of him. And Norris grabs the gun, shoots the Chucky doll through the heart, finally killing him in question marks. And the group leaves to get wounded Norris to the hospital as a traumatized Andy looks back at Chucky's crispy remains. Is there anything we have left out in our lengthy discussion of Child's Play?
Even though you love this little actor, you've left out the line read that's going to make him, a film immortal, which is that Chucky tries to appeal to his softer side and says, we're friends to the end. And this child suddenly gets hardcore vicious. Is like, this is the end, friend. That's off.
Like, it's like, friend.
Very Schwarzenegger-esque delivery. Bruce Willis, Die Hard era would be very proud of this. Gina, any last thoughts?
I mean, what do you want? It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah. I think it's slightly discounted. I think there is a level of goof to this that people still put a distance to. But I have to assume the amount of money this made, because it's made for around just under $10 million, it makes 44. So that's 4 times multiplier. Like, it does really, really well. If you go by first weekend, it makes like 6.5, and it multiplies 6 times up to its final total. So that is very good. It made everyone involved a handsome sum. I have to assume, because it reaches that crescendo in this final act, it really gets to people. Is it the scariest movie ever made? No. But what I do think is that it involves you in a very action movie sort of way, where you literally are so involved in the characters that their peril is something that draws you into it. It works on that level.
I mean, the movie is definitely winking at the audience, but at the same time, it's also not just kind of like, that's a killer doll movie. Who gives a shit?
Right,
people are going to expect it to be garbage.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like that's, even as I'm pretty far from a franchise expert, but I know enough people who love the franchise that there is a tone of deliberate camp to it. And that's going to get amped up as the franchise goes onward. But this is what was great about 80s horror. You had 88 minutes. It was tightly scripted. Every scene had to do something, and you didn't have to take it too seriously. And I think this is the apex of that. It's a killer doll movie. That's an oblique critique of, capitalism or the nuclear family or whatever, but it's a killer doll movie, and it's fun, and it wants you to have fun. And I think it's just, it's brilliant. Plus, I actually get scared by the time Chucky's melted, or Brad Dourif screams when he's being burned alive, or unexpectedly harrowing. I can get scared to this, but I love just the, but I think it speaks on a frequency that a lot of horror fans are already on, where the blood and the excess and the fear are as much camp as anything. And it talks to you in your language. It's very welcoming movie.
And what I think we'll be able to illustrate as we cover the franchise over the course of this season is that one of the things that really makes it unique is it consistently meets the moment. Yes, there are some fallow periods here. I don't remember personally really enjoying Child's Play 3 very much. We'll see on this rewatch whether or not that improves. But as it moves on, Mancini finds a way to adapt the concept to the horror moment of the time and use Chucky as a vehicle to feel to work within the new groove of the record that's been put on the record player. And I don't think a lot of franchises have been able to move as nimbly. It's certainly, there have been moments where if it's very close together, the way Friday the 13th did it for a little while, the way Nightmare on Elm Street did it for a little while, where they could make it a little bit different, but evolve it until the point it becomes untenable. And to a degree, there are untenable moments here in the franchise, but they always find a way to reinvigorate it. And that's pretty unique. It's in rarefied air in my estimation. Whereas there are other franchises where there are singular films or John Carpenter's Halloween that are so totemic that anything that comes after it simply can't ever rise to that occasion. But this is so wildly solid, so effective, and you can really feel like this is where Tom Holland's magic really lives between this and Fright Night and the script for Psycho 2. It's like, yeah, this was a really good milieu for him to work in. He was a solid, good director. And the idea here ends up coming across no matter how many different pairs of hands end up working on it.
Exactly.
But speaking of pairs of hands that are working, it's time to choose our own death venture. That's where we decide, of the deaths portrayed in Child's Play, if you were forced to die in one of those ways, which one would it be and why? You could be shot twice and struck by lightning. Take a hammer to the head and defenestrated out a window, fall 5 stories to your death in the street. You could be vaporized by a massive gas explosion. Have your limbs broken and stabbed via voodoo doll. You could be electrocuted to death via shock therapy rig. Or, in concept, you can be burned in a fireplace, have your limbs shot off, get decapitated, and then shot through the heart. Jude, you're our guest, and that means you get to go first.
Okay, well, I am, naturally going to choose the death of the voodoo instructor because I think in my life, if I have magnificent voodoo powers and a home that's basically an art installation, yes. I would have like made wiser choices. I would have done more with my voodoo powers than this man evidently has. So I think I'm going to take that death because I know it's going to make me a stronger and better practitioner of fake voodoo.
Well, listen, it's your path to take.
Maybe I have more than one mojo. Maybe I'm already in a kid sister doll down the block and I'm coming for Chucky. And he's,
Spoiler alert for Bride of Chucky. Gina, what say you?
Oh, I'm just taking that explosion.
The explosion is a pretty good way to go because the first and last thing out of his head is what? And
exactly.
That's it.
Gee, you all sound, that doll sounds an awful lot like
Charles.
Oh, there's nothing worse than going out on an unanswered question. I'd be so mad if like my strangling partner reincarnated as a doll and I didn't get to find out anything more about it after that.
Oh, the conversations they could have had. Speaking of which, Jude, have a conversation with our audience and tell them all the things you got going on and where they can find them.
I have a comic that's just wrapping up called Dead Teenagers. That's going to be like the last issue is going to be out on July 15th. But if you haven't read it, you should first of all feel bad, and then you should get the trade paperback. That's out October 6th. I also have a trade paperback called Be Not Afraid of a series that's coming out on the 7th. And then I'm going to start Clayface Celebrity Dirt through DC Comics on July 8th. All of that is a lot. You can just follow me on my newsletter, which is jude-doyle.ghost.io, or I kind of hate social media because I'm very bad at it, but you can find me on Blue Sky as Jude Doyle.
That sounds excellent. And you were very kind to send me a preview copy of Clayface Celebrity Dirt. And I instantly fell in love with it. It is so me coded. And that is coming from a Make Mine Marvel kid, everybody. Jude has made me want to pre-order a physical copy of a DC book, something I have not done in well over a decade.
It's not me. It's all Clayface. He's moving through me. He's like my personal Chucky. He's a killer, but he's very charming. I find him very lovable.
He is. And I don't think, and again, as a Marvel person, I know Clayface through pop culture. And I needed to know next to nothing to jump into this. And it was a damn good time. And the sort of body double-esque element that happens in that first issue was like, ooh, Jude's speaking right to me. I dig this a lot. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
After taking a little bit of a break, I am slowly moving back towards updating my my newsletter, which is ginawatchesthings.ghost.io. And I've been avoiding social media for the most part too, but you can find me on Instagram, mostly under Gina Does Things.
Do it today. People check it out. You can find my newsletter, screamshare.beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com, where I give you 3 streaming horror titles every single week so that you can get that streaming horror decision demon off of your back. And of course, you can find the pod on social media everywhere, but Twitter, fuck that place. And we also have the Discord. Please come visit us there and talk back. We got the YouTube channel. That's great for yakking. Spotify, if that's your groove. And of course, you can buy t-shirts in the shop. Links in the bio. So is the Patreon, where we give you bonus episodes. 3 times a month, we give you extras that you can listen to us if that is your groove. Don't worry, folks. Season 7 will continue. For myself, Gina, and Jude. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.